Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Woo Curious podcast. Your map to the mystical, your key to the sacred, and your guide back home to yourself. I'm Eileen, a writer, a spiritual coach, energy healer, and slow living witch. This podcast is your invitation to explore a world where the mundane and the sacred intertwine. It's a haven for those ready to take the first steps into the realms of magic and mystery, providing a safe space for you to embark on your own enchanted journey towards healing and self-discovery. Here, I'll unveil the whispers of the mystical, the rituals often hidden in plain sight, and I'll engage in sacred conversation intended to stir your soul and lead you back into your power. I'm all about demystifying woo and witchcraft. So, whether you're a seasoned seeker or simply woo curious, I'm so delighted you've decided to join me on this journey. Let's make magic. Hey Woo Crew! Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that over the next few weeks, I'll be sharing a little bit about my upcoming course, Unleash Your Inner Witch, a beginner's guide to witchcraft for the woo curious. This will be the fourth time that I run this signature program, and I truly hope that you will consider joining me. Though I do say it's for the woo curious, I've had several women join who describe themselves as fully woo before entering the space, and so it really does serve a wide range of woo-ness, if you will. The waitlist is open until February 24th, and trust me when I say that you'll want to be on that list if you think you even might want to join us, as there are some really juicy exclusive bonuses for those on the list when doors open. We begin on March 5th, and you can find all of the details over on my website, myluminouslife.ca/unleashyourinnerwitch, or send me a message on Instagram at IamEileenMarch. Hello, my friend, and thank you for being willing to sit and chat a little bit about your experience inside Unleash Your Inner Witch with me. It's really, really appreciated.
My pleasure. Yeah, actually, I'm excited for the good cause to talk about it a little bit.
Yay. Okay. So before we drop in, I know I sent you over a couple of questions just to ponder and sit with before we recorded today. Before we do that, I would love for you, and I didn't ask you this specifically so it could maybe just sparkle some things, to tell me if you had to describe your experience in the course in 3 words, what 3 words would you use?
Do I have to use 3? Can I just use 2?
Sure, yeah.
Coming home. Coming home is the first thing that popped into mind, and that feels absolutely true.
Oh, I got chills. Thank you. That makes my heart sing. That's exactly what I want for everyone who's walking through this path with me.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you, when you were thinking about enrolling, when you're thinking about joining us, if there were any hesitations that you had prior to making the decision.
There weren't a lot of hesitations that I could consciously put a finger on. And as I was preparing and doing a little bit of reflecting before our call, I think for as long as you've been talking about Unleashed, I have felt the pull towards it. I have felt the invitation to come home. And it was always really easy to come up with an excuse or to come up with a distraction. So I would feel the yes, and I would say, I can rationalize a no in whatever way I choose. I'm a very imaginative person. I could come up with whatever I needed to. And over time, I've gotten more comfortable, and thanks so much to you and sharing about your journey. I've gotten much more comfortable with the concept of magic and with the concept of of witchery, of witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And those two together, as you know, there's so much connotation and varying perspectives and ways of interpreting that language. For me, that was very subtly clouding my choices in the background. And I decided I wasn't going to listen to them anymore, because it got to a point, I think, where the noise around not going, it became more complex. There was more to it, because I knew with even more certainty why I wanted to go
Mm.
there. And it wasn't because I was proudly stepping out into the world and proclaiming I'm a witch, I do magic. It's the ego based who even hears me saying that out loud that's just cringing, right? Because that is how I think I feared the world would interpret
Mm-hmm.
however I shared it. When in actuality, I know there is magic in the earth, because I can just soften and be peaceful with my feet on the earth. I feel that. I know that. I am absolutely captivated and smitten watching hummingbirds. The medicine in that for my whole system is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I want to learn more. I want to understand more clearly, and it just makes sense. So, it stopped making sense not to go, and it just made way more sense to go, even though I was, just starting to figure a lot of this stuff out. It's a perfect place to go when you're just starting to figure this stuff out, or kind of starting to wake up to the realizations of the energies and what's around us.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for presencing that little bit of like the fear voice or the cultural, like, what will people think if I'm taking a class that has the word witch in it? And just that assurance for anybody who is maybe on the fence considering it, you never have to call yourself a witch. That's, the word that I'm choosing to use, and I talk about why I choose to use it a lot, but it's not something that is necessary from the course for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Sheena, who was just waking up to the idea of dipping into the learning of this area, thank you for that permission. And also, Sheena, today, I'm really excited for the witchy parts of myself who can say, this is real. This is real. This is part of who I am. And yay, that there's community growing around it. Yay, that we feel safe enough to be able to talk about it. Yay, that we've already got the connections growing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that feels kind of like a big monumental shift. And I attribute that probably to having now been through the course materials twice, quite thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and each time there's a different nugget that lands and a different area to explore. And it just makes me so curious and keen to keep indulging what feels so natural and right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. On that note, I think that's a beautiful lead in to my next question, which is what was the most powerful insight or takeaway that you experienced while you were in the course or since completing and revisiting?
Yeah, that really does lead in perfectly, because the confidence in my own knowing and a really beautiful community of kindred spirits where we can just have really honest conversations about the things that we're noticing, about the different ways of being that we're just kind of curiously exploring and playing with. So, getting a little bit tongue tied, but I know that all of that is what has contributed to my being able to fully accept and embrace this as true for me. This is true for
Mm-hmm.
me. I've shared about it. I've talked about it. I've heard of others' experiences, and there's so many similarities. So even now my rational brain is, kind of getting on board, and that makes it so much easier if we can trust in what we're learning to be more effective in our learning. And that's kind of important to me. So, yeah, I think really just a greater sense of who I am and confidence in loving her.
Mm, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you're not the first person who's mentioned that sense of community and connection as being one of the really most favorite or most impactful parts of being in that space. I have to say that your cohort, the women that you stepped in with, it was the first time that I ran it that it really did feel like a cohort, because everybody made that commitment to be there and to show up and to participate, and it was truly so magical when we can do that and have that recognition in each other.
Absolutely. And I think, on an even more potent level, we're changing history. That sounds hyperbolic, but we are women who are coming together in circle to celebrate the magic we all sense around us. It's nothing about the outside world. It's trusting that the more we cultivate an awareness within ourselves, those are just beautiful ripples of sweet, good energy that are going to go out into the world. And women being in circle it's incredible to me how potent the energy of that is. Even when it's an
Yeah.
entire group of women who are strangers, when we come together and when we're in circle, when we can look around and make eye contact with everyone to exchange our energies, there's just so much love in that space. And resistance slips away. And your space is a beautiful example of where I feel that, truly. Mm-hmm.
And even through the platform of being online
Yes.
too, I've been so grateful that I've been able to witness a circle where nobody's in the same room, and it never fails to kind of surprise me how connective and potent those spaces can be, even when we are just quote unquote on a screen with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like there's something primal in us that recognizes the coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were chatting with somebody who was considering joining the course but weren't totally sure, maybe it's the time commitment, maybe it's the financial investment, maybe it's discomfort with that word witch, what would you say to them?
The first bit of advice I always give anyone, because I do have these conversations, not advice so much as a love-filled, strong suggestion to find you and your teachings wherever they are freely available. And you have been so generous. So we can find you on Insight Timer. We can find you through the Woo Curious podcast, audio and video versions. You've got incredible, sweet offers on your website. And all of them have been such a beautiful toe dip for anybody who really is that woo curious. Just dip your toe in, play with it. I love your little quiz. Which witch are you? Because not just are the results interesting, kind of thought provoking, but the questions and the prompts are as well. Because I found myself thinking, "Ooh, well, but I'm not like this, but other people are like this, and oh, isn't this cool that we're all these different things?" And to really lean into the playful curiosity around it, and to, if possible, explore what that resistance is. Because, as I said earlier, it is so easy to create what feels like a very logical and smart reason that is, in fact, actually an excuse. And excuses aren't ideal, right? We know then that there's maybe something we're avoiding when we're making an excuse. And so to let yourself be curious, to dip into the freebies, to tune into the podcast for sure, because I especially love the nuggets. Like the guest episodes are great, but every once in a while there's like this shorter nugget and it's like, oh yeah, I needed to hear that. And set the intention to stay open to it for the parts of yourself who are feeling that curiosity, who are leaning in, and full on respect for the parts of you who are like, I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not here yet. Just know, as I look into the camera, it is here for you. Maybe not, a specific program at a specific time. Eileen is here for you. Her meditations are here for you. The recordings are all here whenever it feels right. And to yeah, let yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, I'm speechless, clearly.
I would like to, do you have time for me to add one nugget?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if there was anything else that you wanted to add before we wrapped up.
I would like to add, because I know I'm one of your people as well, and I know that when what feel like a bigger ticket offer or a bigger ask comes my way, for anybody who's feeling like, oh yeah, I'm really this, yes, but as someone who has had challenging, brave, courageous, I've had courageous conversations with my partner around what it is that I need to be well. And that includes a whole lot of time for rest, but also the opportunity to learn how to nurture my more spiritual sides, my woo sides. It can feel like an indulgence or, a luxury or fluffy. It is not. It is not, because the nourishment that comes from it goes so deep. Right? So some coach might say, hey, I've got this and it's going to do this for you. And we get really excited and people throw money at that. But then we get a coach over here who says, I'm moving through the world in these really beautiful, quiet and gentle ways. And I've figured some stuff out, sweet sister. I can help you get here too. And we're like, no, slow down and make the investments that are going to nurture you from the inside out. And I believe that yours truly is one of those offers. So yeah.
Thank you, Sheena. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate your presence and your warmth and your thoughtfulness. You are so thoughtful with your words.
Thank you.
And your time for being willing to jump on here with me.
I am just always so excited to be with you whenever I can. So thank you so much for the invitation to share a little bit. And thank you for always making space for my indulgently long responses sometimes. I appreciate that.
Here for it every time.
I love that so much.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Again, if anybody is curious to connect with Sheena at all or ask her about her experience, you can find her on Instagram.
Yeah, that's the best
at
way.
Sheena Lurie.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that if you're watching this somewhere, you can access that handle.
Yeah. I would love that.
Excellent. Thank you. Take good care.
Thank you.